Hello and welcome to the Merle and Locke podcast. I'm Merle.
I'm Locke.
Set sail and low expectations for everything nerd, accompanied by a healthy, albeit shameful, helping and pointless banter, lack of focus, and questionably acquired knowledge.
And more.
And more. Now for today's topic, Locke, you brought up something that you wanted to talk about. Why don't you tell the audience here what that was?
I know you and I have kind of at least talked about it a little bit. I don't remember if it's on here at this point or not. If anything, we've touched a little bit on it. But anyways, the differences between the games that, as they used to come out within like 2 to 4 years. Like it would take them a while to create a game. And like once the game was released, then they'd go back into working on a game. But how a lot of games now, you're seeing them have yearly releases where they want to release something every single year to get that constant flow of money coming to them.
So I took some time to think about it.
Yeah.
Now,
do tell.
yes, there is that argument where it's just solely greed, right? Where it's like they push out the same thing over and over again, but it's just a little bit shinier, you know?
They just slapped a new foil on top of it, said, there you go, new game.
Exactly. And there's always the complaint that like, oh man, it's the same thing, it's uninspired, like what's the point? I probably fall on that side of the line myself, but then if you want to, stick with like what it was before, like the game that came before it, like nobody's playing that anymore. Like especially if it's like a multiplayer type game where everybody has the new thing, because that's what everyone else is playing. So it's not like we have a choice, to stick with the old one. And eventually, like the old ones become unsupported, and there's no servers for those to support the player base that wants to stick with the older one. I mean, in some cases there are. Like I know Call of Duty does that a lot for one, because I know, like when Call of Duty 2, right now. I hadn't played that for the longest time. I really enjoyed it when it came out, and I have a friend who, that's the only game he plays. Like even to this day, in 2024, that's the only game he plays is Call of Duty 2.
I mean, it's a good game.
It's good, and it's still, there's still support. Like people still play it. But I mean, I guess the player base isn't that big, so I imagine, like I haven't tried it myself to get into like a multiplayer lobby or anything like that, but because usually I just play the zombies mode with my buddy, so I don't know how long like the wait is, for getting on a server to play a multiplayer game, and I don't know. I don't know if it'd be worth it to me to go back and play that when there's like all these newer, shinier Call of Duties that like take, less than a minute to get into a lobby and to start playing. Not that I even really play Call of Duty anymore, but if I were to, I'd probably just opt for the newer, shinier one. Now, there's another argument that I was thinking about, I was considering, is the risk of losing your player base to someone else. So I feel like it's a way of, keeping their players on a short leash, right? By releasing, yearly. Whatever the game might be that constantly puts out like new content or new expansions or a new game altogether, but that falls within the same realm. It's that they don't want to lose their player base to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep reeling them back in, like give them a year to play their game and have a bunch of fun. And once they're getting on like the back end of like some like the entertainment aspect of it, or like the peaked interest, whatever that may be, at the ass end of that, they come out with a new game or a new expansion. Be like, okay, now you got something else to play. So come on back in and have a ball, you know?
Right.
So in a way, I feel like it may be strategic. I mean, it very well may be just a money grab, but like in the back of my mind, like I often opt to give people the benefit of the doubt, saying like, oh, it's just that they don't want to lose players, they don't want people to lose interest because they know that most gamers have very short attention spans.
Yeah, you have a kind heart. You're looking at you are absolutely looking at everybody like, you know what? There's got to be a good alternative here, right?
Man, well, you say I have a kind heart. Most people would call it naivety, but
Sweet summer child.
Yeah, my sweet summer child. I just don't like to be pessimistic. Okay, I like. uh, but that's just my own opinion of it. Do you have anything you want to expand on, or any opinions of yourself?
Well, like I don't like to be pessimistic myself, but I will call somebody out when I see it.
Okay,
So
all right, fair enough.
certain companies, I do feel that it's more of a money grab for them. It's not that they care about the player base, that they care to see whether or not they return. They want to see that their investment is worthwhile, and they want to see that keep coming to them. And I mean, that's when you look at it from a business perspective, and how some of your CEOs or higher ups, they aren't even looking to enjoy the games themselves. I can guarantee the vast majority aren't actually sitting down to play the games that their company is paying to release, and testing it out and being like, you know what, this is actually a fun game.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I can understand that. Yeah, that's a good point.
So with that, yeah, I feel it's more of a money scheme, and they're like, well, how can we see that it's worthwhile keeping you guys around, keeping, say, whoever it is that's making the game. I don't know, big companies. I mean, you got EA, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, EA is kind of obvious, you know,
Right.
like especially if you
Yeah.
consider the amount of microtransactions and stuff that they have. My
Right.
God, like everything
Yeah.
is behind like a money wall.
And there's a lot of people who are trying to go for that same scheme that they do. That's when you definitely can point out and go, yeah, this person doesn't care about the people who actually play the games. They don't care about the community surrounding it. They're just like, meh. As long as it's coming in, and it's coming in tenfold, I'm happy.
So it's often a problem with like AAA titles, you know, where we fall into that argument there. What I really enjoy about, like, you know, if we're to go back to how indie companies do it, right, or indie developers, where they put out like a, you know, it's an alpha or a beta game, right? And you know, it's like it's this whole facade in my mind where it's like I consider it a completed game when I get it. I know it says it's alpha or beta, but like I consider it, you know, this is the game. And then when they come out with updates and stuff, like these constant updates again and again and again, well, depending on whoever the indie developer is. I know there have been some in the past who kind of give up on the project, but if you consider the ones who like constantly put into it, it's like you're receiving like free DLC all the time, you know, where they're like upgrading the game, adding levels or adding new aspects or quality of life things, and it seems like a new game every time. And I really enjoy that about picking up, you know, alpha or beta games that are still kind of in development, because it feels like I'm constantly like just a small initial investment, because usually the games are like on the cheaper end because they're not fully developed, you know, to begin with. And if I opt in the early game, like I feel like I'm constantly rewarded for that little investment that I made. and it's really entertaining to me, and it keeps me coming back to the game. Like if we were to consider a game that we keep coming back to for like let's say for this example, like games that we've only made one initial investment in and they keep developing it over and over again. What are your favorites that have done that for you?
I enjoyed WoW when it was still like Blizzard.
No, we're not talking about WoW right now.
Well, I'm talking about Blizzard when they were much smaller, right? Well, WoW, okay, Diablo, right. Like when that stuff wasn't as big as it is now. Like Diablo, you can almost point that out and go, "Oh yeah, I know what Diablo is." But did they ever try the original? I'm sure some of the people that are sticking around are the people who have been there from the start. But that was some good storytelling, good content. Now I'm seeing it with some other indie companies now. I'm curious. Like I remember when Ark first came out, the interest that I had in it, it held me for a while. The only thing that sucked for me was I can't see for shit. So seeing the text on the screen and trying to read like the structure names and all this other stuff, I was like, that sucks. I hope this gets fixed. And then I see it with Pal World, and they've done a good job of holding my interest at this point.
Right? Yeah, you've been playing it a lot lately.
I have been playing it a lot lately, and it just that's what got me thinking about how the indie companies are sticking with what the other companies used to do before they started getting bigger. They wanted more.
Now, if we're to consider my initial thought, where like favorite games that we've like keep coming back to, I know like if you get onto Steam, right? Steam is just a treasure trove, right? I love Steam, and with some games that I've played that like we've often gone back to, or things like we've been on like a big spooky game kick, right?
Oh yeah,
where
absolutely.
We played like Phasmophobia and
Ghost Watchers Inc. or Ghost Watchers and Ghost Exorcism Inc. That's it.
Yeah. And those games have been great. Like we started out playing them, and we put a lot of hours in them because it's really fun. It's an inspired game where there's lots of originality, and well, I mean, often there's different aspects. Like it attacks the same objective in a different way. And there's constantly updates and whatnot, and they're adding levels and new quality of life things, and adding different aspects to the game. And we keep coming back to it just to experience all these new things, and it feels like a new game every time, and it's really entertaining. And I really love it. I really love returning to these games after they've been developed a little further. Now, when it comes to, if we were to consider, you want to go back to World of Warcraft. I don't know. World of Warcraft has that hold on us, yeah? Where, they come out with stuff, free stuff a lot, where like free quality of life things, and it's constantly evolving. But yeah, it gets to the point where, like every year or 2 years, I guess it's 2 years, isn't it? They come out with a new big expansion that we have to pay, bukus, to participate in.
Depends on what all you want out of it. Do you want a bunch of goodies to go along with the package that you just bought? Will there be
Of course we do.
A character
of
boost?
Course.
A mount, because everybody loves their mounts.
Yeah.
A cosmetic. It's just everything.
Oh, we're just suckers, aren't we?
We are suckers to the machine that is now Activision Blizzard.
Yeah. Is that something that you often go for? Is these like ultimate editions and stuff, where you get all the stuff? Do you often opt for that when you go to play a game?
What, any other game?
Well, yeah, like in general.
Not really. Like I look at what contents that they're offering if you buy the packages, and I go, is that the thing for me? Eh. Like they didn't release stuff like that whenever it was back in Wrath of the Lich King, and I kind of wish that they would have, because I probably would have. Like I probably would have wanted it, because I like the aesthetic that Wrath of the Lich King had. There was just something about the Death Knight that had me interested. So
Yeah, absolutely. And what I really enjoy is when they have an ultimate edition that is sold separately, right? But for like an equal price that than what the bundle would be. That's what I really appreciate when developers do that, where like say, okay, game coming out. If you get the ultimate bundle, it's like, I don't know, $70. But if you buy the base game, it's only $50. But if you buy the base game and then you really enjoy it and you're like, oh, I want to support these developers, or I really like what's, in that, I like the game, I'm going to hang around for a bit, I really want to go back and get the ultimate edition, then you just have to pay the $20 extra that it would have cost, and you get the ultimate edition. Like, I don't like being penalized for not wanting to go in blind. For like, I don't, like, if I make that big investment up front, like, I don't know what I'm in for, then, so why would I want to get all this extra stuff if I get into the game and I don't even hang around for that long because it doesn't hold my interest enough? Like, why does it have to be a gamble?
right.
Like, I don't like to gamble. That's my whole thing. I don't want to gamble. I want the option after the fact. Let me play your game for a little bit, see if I like it, and if I love it, and I love what the developers are doing, then I'll go back and support you.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I want.
Yep.
I want all developers to do that.
Give me good content. Give me a reason that I should spend more, and I will gladly do so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fry from Futurama shoving money. Here, take my money.
Take my money. Just take my money. Man. Yeah. And I know, I mean, like it gets me a lot sometimes because like I have, fallen into that trap where, I get excited about a game and then it says like I have to make the gamble to either get the ultimate edition or get the base game. I don't have the option to get the, extra stuff after the fact. And it put me in a spot where I'm like, oh man, well, I'm really excited about this game. I hope I like it, So I guess I'll get the ultimate edition because I would love to have that extra stuff. And then I end up doing that. And then like a week later, I'm like, ugh,
Right.
like, oh, why did I do that? And it's just a kick in the balls, man. That's what it is.
I've realized now, especially after a conversation you and I had before, that now when somebody's like, "Oh, there's this new game," I'm like, who made it? I look at the name on it, and now that's my deciding factor.
Yeah.
Do I want that game?
Yeah.
Because like the Skull and Bones that you and I were talking about looks like a neat pirate game, right?
Yeah,
but
it
then
does. It does.
They slapped the Ubisoft name on it, and I went, I guess I don't want it that badly.
Maybe I'll give it some time.
I'll give it some time, see if I really, really want to, because I have too many hesitations toward how the game's going to turn out. Now, if that would have been an indie company that then I seen the trailer for the Skull and Bones, I probably been like, okay, you know what? I think I'll give it a chance.
Yeah, man. It's I don't know. It is weird, isn't it? It's like you'd rather take a gamble on someone you never even met over someone that has betrayed you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yep. No, I totally understand that. I could totally empathize with that. But I mean, all in all, I don't know. It's up to the player. Like, what kind of risks are you willing to take? Do you have the funds to support the hobby and get in on the ground floor? Or, do you like to let things simmer for a while before you get a taste? To each their own, I suppose.
Are you a corporate shill like me and Merle and just spend our spend our money with Blizzard?
Yeah. Guilty.
Guilty. Yep.
Thank you for joining us on the Merle and Locke podcast. If you enjoyed this banter, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Merle and Locke, or simply follow the link in the description. Thank you.